This episode is for the coach to be or the entrepreneur in the making, or maybe you're a very, very new coach and you are dealing with some unwanted comments, unsolicited advice, people around you whom you love but aren't really supporting your big dreams and don't really understand it or get it. This episode is for you. I break down the different types of people who would respond to you and your big dreams, the business that you want to launch. Also, how you can respond when you get messages that are filled with scarcity or negativity, as well as action items that you can take in order to up-level into the highest version of yourself as a coach to become the business owner that you want to be and what it takes to get there. Let's dive in. I'm your host, Tiffany Chung, your go-to for all things marketing, mindset, and manifestation. I grew my online business from 0 to beyond 6 figures in 8 months. My purpose is to empower women to step into the highest, most aligned versions of themselves. If you are ready to take charge of your life, learn how to design a wildly successful business, and leave limiting beliefs behind, you've come to the right place. You will learn the actionable tips and step-by-step strategies on money, manifestation, and social media. It's time to step into your role as boss, to raise your vibration, and tap into your unlimited potential today. Welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Social Reset Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking all about chasing your dreams, even if the people around you don't necessarily agree, aren't necessarily on board, and maybe don't understand what the hell it is that you're doing, which is totally okay. And that happens. And that's also part of the process. It's very, very rare. And you are extremely lucky if you have a majority of people on your side and rooting for you and supporting you through making major changes in your life. So let's talk about why that is. Why is it so rare, at least in my experience with the coaches that I have coached and the clients that I've worked with that have become coaches over time? It's very rare to have your friends, your immediate family all on board when you decide to become a coach, when you decide to launch your coaching business. And the history behind this is, especially when it comes to women launching their businesses, it has been historically there have been more barriers because there are still existing gender roles and perpetuated gender roles that are created in society where women are expected to be the homemaker and be the domestic partner that stays at home and takes care of their children. And so, even if you are a mom already and want to start your business, there is guilt and shame associated with that comes from patriarchal thinking of you should spend all of your time with your babies at home and you shouldn't, split your time away from them and what's going to happen to your kids and what kind of a mom are you? The type of messaging that essentially just does not happen to men and fathers. The term working father is not a thing, but working mom is something that has been turned into a hashtag on Instagram. So just thinking about, the history of where this is coming from and how we are all essentially taught to be employees. Like the school system was created in order to have more workers at the assembly lines to teach more things to do through the industrial revolution and just being able to create more and more and more workers were literally prepped to become employees, to have your resume and your cover letter ready, to make sure you're employable, you know what to wear, how to dress, what to say, all of those things. We're essentially taught and primed to work the 9 to 5 jobs and our day jobs and enter the corporate world in order to be worthy, to make money, all of those things. And so when somebody decides to launch a coaching business, when somebody decides to become an entrepreneur and step away from that, it becomes very divergent in the sense where even if your friend or a parent or a relative has thought about doing that, they've probably, especially if they're not completely on board, they've probably talked themselves out of it because of their fear, because of their lack of trust within themselves, because they felt like it wasn't the right time, right? All of those same excuses that you hear over and over from people that continually do not chase their dreams, even though they know they're meant for more, even though they know that the work that they're doing is not their life's work, their passion. So that leads to the first type of response that you get is the person that, tried to chase their dreams or didn't follow through with it or gave up way too early and then decided to spend the rest of their life putting other people down, right? This is like the relative that started a small business for a couple of months, decided that they weren't seeing the revenue or ROI that they really wanted, and then decided to just close up shop and then turned really bitter or resentful afterwards, maybe had to go back to the corporate world and doesn't enjoy their life and thinks that, entrepreneurship or jumping out to start your own business is a sham and no one should ever do it and wants to prevent you from going through the pain they went through, right? And this isn't necessarily coming from a malicious place. So that's number one, is the non-malicious, protector of, hey, don't do this because I don't know what's going to happen. What are we going to do, right? It could also be the parent that's never tried to start their own online business, maybe has never even thought of it or never even wanted to. It's totally okay to not be an entrepreneur, by the way, right? But I'm speaking to a podcast and a community full of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs to be. So you might have the parent that's never wanted to start their own business, but loves you so, so, so deeply that they don't want to see you fail. They don't want to see you go through hard times. They don't know. They see you as their precious baby girl or their child, and they don't see you as the, budding, thriving, successful coach to be. And that's why sometimes listening to opinions from family and friends and the people around us can feel very limiting because they see us or they have seen us from a very young age. Like, I know that whenever I share certain ideas with my dad, not only is it the fact that he's a risk executive, but he, will give me all of these reasons as to why this could be really, me taking a really big chance, but also because he has watched me grown up my entire life and changed my diapers and has been to my recitals. And, he knows who I am from a father's standpoint. And the same thing with my mom, even more so, because she's actually the one who did a lot of the, parenting responsibilities growing up, because my dad did have to work a lot of the time. And so the way that my parents see me, as supportive as they actually truly are, and I'm really, really grateful. I am one of the lucky ones. But as supportive as they are, there's still a bias they have because they're my parents, right? Their role is to keep me safe and is to tell me to not talk to strangers, don't touch the hot stove, right? They're here to protect me. And so they're going to have a very different opinion of what it is to, stay, because they want me to stay safe. Okay, so that's the first type of person that you can encounter is typically a family member. It's typically a parent or a very close friend that just doesn't want to see you fail, that just wants you to take the safe route of sticking with the corporate job because it makes good pay and you have a steady income that comes in every other Friday, or you have these incredible health benefits. You know, maybe you're a single mom like me that relies on health benefits for your children and yourself, right? Because that is something that is, the healthcare system is something that's flawed in the United States. And so there are these well-intentioned, well-meaning people in your life that really just want to keep you where you are, or it can even be a childhood friend that maybe doesn't care as much as your loving parents, but they have seen you a certain way your entire life, or maybe went to college with you when you were like chugging, cocktails or taking shots or all of these things while, discovering yourself and being someone in their early 20s who doesn't see you as the business coach or doesn't see you as the life coach that you are aiming to become and is your destiny moving forward, right? So they want you to stay as the person you were years and years and years ago because maybe they're still in the same place, right? Maybe it makes them feel a little bit more comfortable. Maybe it makes them feel a little bit less bad about not chasing their dreams or not going after what they want. So in response to the well-intentioned person who wants you to just kind of play it safe and wants to look out for you and has your best intentions in mind, but is just really fearful for you, I don't think that there is a perfect response to that, right? But something I like to say and something I've used with my own parents and other people in my life is the thank you, but that does not apply to me method. And I learned this from the book Breakthrough Your Threshold by Jay Ma. And I think it's an incredible, just such an incredible method that you can pull out when someone says, hey, don't do that. Don't start your business. You never know what's going to happen. You could, you should stay with your day job because you're going to have this steady income, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. And you can literally just look them in the eye and say, thank you. I appreciate that, right? I acknowledge that they're coming from maybe a place of sincerity, right? But, thank you for the warning, but that doesn't apply to me. And that gives you the power, because that's what I want to remind you of here first and foremost, and through all of these examples, is that you have the power. You get to decide. You decide who you listen to and the choices that you make and how you move forward. And another thing on top of that I want to add that is kind of my spiritual lens and my way of viewing things is that when people show up in your life and create and have these fears that they want to impose on you, it's coming from a mirrored place. I believe that everything we experience is a mirror back to our own internal narrative, right? So when people are coming to you and they're full of fear and they're worried, it's because it's coming from this place of fear within you, where you're scared. So I truly believe when you're able to work on yourself and to heal these wounded parts of you, not saying that let's get rid of fear completely, because that's not realistic. But what I mean by healing these parts of you is building confidence and taking care of yourself, and maybe not putting yourself in situations, creating boundaries where you maybe are surrounding yourself with different types of people during this season of your life, right? There's always going to be a level of fear when you're jumping into something brand new. There always is going to be a level of unknown, and that gets to be the exciting part. Is if you knew every single thing that was going to happen and every single step and all of the timing, it would be so boring. Like entrepreneurship would be so boring, and then everyone would do it, and then everyone would, succeed, and then we would never learn anything, because you learn from your mistakes and you learn from what I call quote unquote mistakes, because I feel like everything has a learning lesson, right? So calling them lessons, I think, is a little bit more appropriate here. So that's the first thing I want to share with you. Okay. And then the second person is someone that is essentially just a hater and just wants to put you down. And this is how you actually realize who you might need to release in your life. Because when you go into entrepreneurship, similarly to when you have a baby, when you have a newborn baby, there are certain people that you are going to leave out of your life because you've realized that you need to set boundaries with them. Your soul contract is done and they no longer need to be a part of your life. Maybe it isn't a, dramatic breakup of a friendship, but you've just realized that you're moving into a different season in your life and that they're like who they are, who they've, turned into doesn't serve you anymore. And that's completely okay to be able to set those boundaries. And so I think it's really powerful to recognize how people are responding and what people are telling you to do, essentially, or any unsolicited advice that you're getting from your friends. Because guess what? This is just the beginning. As an entrepreneur, you're constantly taking scary risks and putting yourself out there. And when it comes to social media and the way that you are presenting yourself, if there are voices from your friends and from people around you that are stemming from this place of negativity or hatred or jealousy or envy, and you're constantly thinking about what to say or not to say to appease them, I think that it's typically a sign to release a group of friends or release a couple of friends from your circle, or at the very least setting some boundaries or spending less time with certain people that aren't challenging you intellectually as an entrepreneur. And that's not to say, this is not to say get rid of all of your friends that don't have the entrepreneurial spirit. It's just a matter of surrounding yourself with people who are going through the same experiences as you. This is why I have loved transitioning from one-on-one and group to just solely just group through Business Activation Academy. So I just do group coaching, and it is so powerful to hear somebody else go through the same thing that you're going through, or be able to ask questions that you didn't even know how to ask, or maybe you're not there yet. Maybe they're asking a question about something that you are going to experience a month from now, and you know exactly how to approach it because of the coaching the other person got. Like, that gets to be such a powerful experience for so many people, and has allowed me to serve several people at one time. And so finding a community, a group of people that are able to really support you through this and get it, I think is really crucial to the experience of becoming an entrepreneur and setting boundaries. So, responding to people in your life that are truly there with that come from hatred, that come from, not just scarcity, but coming from a place of wanting to put others down or look down on personal development because they have a lot of wounds that it brings up with them. I think there's something about the coaching industry that triggers a lot of people, similar to therapy. And there's just this still, I feel like sometimes this stigma of hiring a coach versus figuring it out on your own, and asking for help and investing in yourself. Whereas business owners that start brick and mortars, restaurants, startups, all of those things are investing thousands and thousands of dollars up front, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, in order to get their company started. And a lot of the time they're breaking even before they even are making profit. But for some reason, when it comes to personal development, coaching, starting your own business, people around you are kind of poking in and wondering, hey, where's that ROI? Are you making money yet? When's your first 5K month, right? It becomes this thing of, oh, is this person really about it? And are they, legitimate if they're making money quicker? There's just this expectation that people need to make money at a certain time once they start their business in order for it to be a viable business. And I think in any other business industry, that is ridiculous, right? There has to be that startup period where you are investing, you have consultants and you're working with different people. You are possibly hiring or expanding and testing your services, your product, right? And it's the same thing for coaches. You are discovering what it is that you want to do. You are discovering how you want to bring that to the world, creating a program, learning how to coach, right? These are all things that happen in the very beginning that are so much more foundational than learning how to book clients instantaneously in order to make money, which while that is what you're learning and working towards, that is more so the long game. Because if you have the foundation down, you know how to do that. You know how to coach. All of the kind of foundational pieces of showing up as an ethical, incredible coach. You will know how to sign clients for the rest of your life as a coach. So that's something to just keep in mind, is that there are some people that don't understand what coaching is, and they don't understand the coaching industry, and they don't understand personal development because it triggers them in a way where they don't feel like it's accessible to them, when in reality it's accessible to anybody. There are so many different types of coaches out there: mindset coaches, relationship coaches, dating coaches, and all of them serve different purposes that are available to any given person. But I think that because it triggers us to see other people, sometimes living their dreams, especially if you're not living yours, it can turn into this kind of jealous, spiteful, envious type of energy. And so speaking to you as the coach to be or new coach, it's up to you to set those boundaries. It's up to you to really create the space that is sacred to you and you only, and determining who maybe doesn't fit in that space anymore, or isn't, somebody that you want in your life. Okay. Another thing that I really want to touch on is through generations, and this is something that's happened for centuries now, is that there is this fear of stepping out and doing something different. There is this fear that isn't just coming from a place of it is that, like, what are people going to think of me and things like that. But it goes back to tribe times where we would try to modify who we were in order to fit in, because it would mean it was literally life or death. It was survival mode, right? That's something that's still ingrained in us, in our reptilian subconscious brain, and teaches us that we have to stay with what everyone else is doing and conform to the majority, because that's what's safest. That's what's going to keep us alive. That's what's going to keep us fed. That's what's going to keep our children alive. And so there is a conditioning that is in our DNA, and that's been passed down from our parents and our parents' parents and so on and so forth, that is living within us. And so the fear that you feel stepping outside of what your coworkers have been doing and excelling in something brand new, and also, of course, varying by socioeconomic status. There are more barriers for people of color, women, marginalized communities, LGBTQ community, non-binary people, trans people, right? So there are so many different variations and varieties of how this can feel more challenging in different scenarios. So I just want to remind you that it isn't just something to bypass and kind of shoo away, because there is validity there. But with that said, you always have a choice. You are always able to make a decision. You are always able to choose what is most right for you. And nobody else is going to be able to help you make that decision. Nobody else is going to be able to do the work for you. It's up to you to decide, I'm ready to hire a coach, or I'm ready to join this group program, or I am going to, spend X amount of hours before work or after work or on the weekends to build my program. Whatever it is that you decide is best for you, maybe it's creating an exit strategy from your corporate job or staying in that corporate job while you create and start working with clients, right? It's going to look different for every single person. There's no perfect way of doing this, right? There's no perfect way of doing this. For someone, it might be quitting their job tomorrow, right? For someone else, it might be saving up a little bit in the bank so that you have a little bit of cushion, or taking out a small business loan, or borrowing from your parents or a friend for a while to invest in a coach that you really want to work with, right? So again, there is no perfect method. There is just the one that you decide, and there is a timeline that gets created because of that decision. And I also want to say that before you take that big leap, also an amazing book, by the way, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, but that's not what I was referring to. Before you take that big leap into entrepreneurship, I truly believe that there are so many obstacles that end up showing up right before you're about to take that jump. And that's coming from your subconscious. It's created by and perpetuated by your subconscious brain so that you can break through these obstacles in order to up level. Again, how simple and boring would it be if you can expect every single step, if you knew what you were doing, if you it could expect every single outcome, right? It would be so boring. Nobody would ever learn anything. You would never up level, and you would never be able to turn into a thriving entrepreneur if you didn't know what it was like to be a struggling entrepreneur or a lost entrepreneur, right? So I truly believe that we manifest subconsciously the issues, obstacles, and the drama of entrepreneurship and being a business owner and taking that first leap, because we're meant to grow through it, because we are meant to excel and pick ourselves back up and truly be able to step into the next level version of ourselves, to be able to think with a different version of our own brains, or a different area of your brain that you haven't tapped into that is possible for you. So I think that's something to think about and to sit with as you are going into the new year and thinking about who it is you want to become in 2022, and who that person gets to be as you are up leveling and stepping into being a business owner. And if you are ready to launch your business and make that first decision, Business Activation Academy is staying open for enrollment. I decided that doors are going to be open for a bit longer, and I just think that there are so many people that are benefiting from this program and are ready to enroll, and I don't want to take that opportunity away by closing up doors for another several months. And so right now, doors are still open, and you can find the link in the show notes below, or message me on Instagram if you want to talk through it a little bit more. But I am excited to guide you inside Business Activation Academy. This is my main signature offer, and where I pour my blood, sweat, and tears and heart and soul and mind into, and sharing my method, as well as helping you design and personalize your own in order to become the thriving coach that you are meant to be. All right, I will catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychung.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.